Hi, welcome to today's class. We'll be going into Power BI today, and we're going to be using Power Query for our data cleaning for this section before we go into the major visualization aspects. Although you can actually launch your Power Query in Excel, and then it's just the same way you actually do your cleaning in Power BI, you do it also in Excel. So we're going to be using this Power BI to actually get the understanding of Power Query. Then we would go into the cleaning process. Okay, this is how your interface comes in when you log into your Power BI desktop. It can be downloaded. You can download actually. It can be downloaded at Microsoft Store on your PC. So when you click on the blank report, you have an interface like this. So this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. So when you have an interface like this, what you do is that the first thing you have to learn here, you have to import your data depending on where your data is being stored. Now, so let's try and import our data so that we get how it actually works. Because if you don't import your data, it will not actually bring out or pop up Power Query, because Power Query is basically used for your cleaning and transformations and all other things like that. We know that Power BI is used basically for visualization, although you can still do some calculated measures and all like that. So, and modeling and all like that. But for this class, we'll be majoring on just visualization. But irrespective of that, we'll be using Power Query for the data cleaning. So now let's continue with the class. So you import your data. You click on import your data from Excel. I think I should have it here. Okay. Okay, this one should work on clean Nigerian passport. Let's see. Now on the group, we'll be having a brief of what we need to actually do when it comes to this data set. Meaning that if you're in the group for us to learn on WhatsApp, you'll be getting a brief of what we're doing with the data set. Now, as it's loading like this, I think we have just one sheet here. Then let's check. Let me check. So we have the sheets there, the unclaimed data set for transport fare distribution. So we're using the data set for this. So now when you click on it, sometimes you might have two sheets, sometimes you might have three sheets like that, depending on the data set. So this one has only one. So you check it then before you actually load, because in visualization, when you load it in, it means that you have edited everything you actually want. Then you now want to visualize. But the beautiful thing is that even if you load by mistake, you can actually transform data. I'll show us how we can actually navigate that on the interface or in the interface. So let's go to transform data. So when we do transform data, it actually comes up. You see Power Query editor actually comes up. So we have 8 columns with over uh, 10,000 rows, I guess. Let me check. It's saying 1,000. 9,900 and you get 9 rows. So now let's go on with other thing. Let me make this one a full screen so that we can get to enjoy the view. Okay, now when you have your Power Query editor like this, now you will need to actually edit anything you need to edit. Then you now load it. Although if you load it, you can actually click on the transform on the interface. Then you now have your data set back and then you edit it. So let me quickly go on into the interface a little bit. We have home where you do some basic things like split to column, sorting, removing duplicates. We have things like transform, like when you want to do your transpose, you want to change your data type and all like that. You want to split to columns, when you want to add your columns, when you the view and all like that. Now, as we go on, we get to get more understanding of the interface. Now, the truth be told, the more you actually practice, the more you get better. The more you get used to the interface, and you know where to solve your problem. So we know that for this data set, we are required to use Power Query um, to load it into the Power BI to create KPI measures using DAX and build transport fee analysis dashboard that reviews patterns across Nigeria. So the first thing we need to do is, after knowing that, we need to actually get to do an analysis on the Nigerian transport fare. The Nigerian transport fare. What we need to do is that we need to clean the data. And then I told us that when you want to clean your data, it's just the same thing process in Excel and all. Number one thing when you want to clean your data is that you need to understand that you need to check and understand your data set. When you understand data sets, know what you need, what you don't need, then you do other things. Now, the other things now include removing duplicates, sorting outliers if you have outliers, handling missing values, removing unnecessary data. Then the last part is data validation and all like that. So every of the data cleaning will be doing that. So now I'm going to do something. I'm going to show us how we can actually navigate through the basic data cleaning process before we now focus on this data set. I said that in any data set, the procedure to actually clean might differ based on the data set. So it's not compulsory that you have to follow this routine. What a specific routine, sorry, but what you should note is that you get a good end product of a clean data for your analysis. So now let's quickly play alongside with our data set. Let's check our data set to get to know about data set. I think with this we have a data set to, we have states, we have transport type, we have routes, we have distance in kilometer, then we have fare, the fare, like the amount, then we have notes, we have entered bar, we have random text, like that. So we are working on the transport fare analysis. So there are some columns that are not needed actually. For example, this random text is not needed. That's why you have to understand. Number one, you have to understand the data set. If you don't understand data sets, you might just be playing around. Now, let me just remove the ones we don't need first before I start editing, so that I will not just waste my time editing what I don't need. So this one, let me remove. Let me remove this row. That one is being removed. Now, let me tell you the beautiful thing about it that if you have any issues with probably a step, you can actually delete this apply step. If I cancel this one, it will come back to the original data set. Did you see that? So you need to understand that. Now I've removed that. I don't think I need this enter by the field agent. I don't need this. It's just the fair um I think distance route that I need. The notes too. I don't need the notes too. So it is not wrong for you to actually remove those data sets. But mind you, I do tell people like that if you want to do an analysis, make sure you copy the original data set in a file. So that even if you actually edit anything and then you don't know how to get your data set and you want to rerun it, you can actually get back to your data sets. Okay, so that starts with that before I balance up. I think I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's now play alongside with the data set. Let's play alongside with the data set. Now the first thing is, let's check if we have, I think this is so dirty. Let's check. Okay, now sometimes when you want to do analysis, I will advise people to actually click on some certain views so that it can give you a preview of what you have in your dataset. For example, if you go to view, you get column distribution, you get your column profile, then column quality. I like people to actually click on these things so that you can actually see the view of your dataset. Now this column profile might not be needed now. If I need it, I'll just click on it, but let's be mindful of that so that you can actually check the details of your dataset. If you see, The column profile is telling me for which column. Let me click. I think I guess the first column. That one, the state column, is saying Zamfara, Lagos, Akwa Ibom, Oyo, Edo, Abia, Kogi, and all the states like that needed. Let me see. We have 1,000 rows count. I think the data set is more than 1,000, I guess. Count 1,000 data sets. Then we have error is 0, empty is 23, distinct count is 73. Meaning we have 73 different states, if I'm not mistaken, distinct count. Meaning there are some states that are repeated 10. So let's see, we'll check the details to be sure if we don't have repeated states irrespective of that. Now, so let's remove the column profile so we can actually edit every of the column. Now, number one thing you have to do is that you have to remove we know that when it comes to data cleaning, you can follow um any step. Like you can start working with your inconsistencies and all like that before you come back to removing duplicates. So that is dependent on what you want to do. So let's see. So I think I would love to remove duplicates. There's a way you can actually remove duplicates from here. You can do it in different ways actually. Just get your desired result. Now let me show us something. If you click on before that, let me show us. If you click on this column and then you right click on the top. Hold on. Okay, you right click on the top, you can actually get your details or the procedure you want to do before before you start going into your interface. So sometimes if you are confused, you don't know what to do, what you do is that you actually click on that, then you can actually get your commands directly. That's the highest shortcut I can the highest don't let me say highest, the fastest shortcut I can actually give you, because you can actually use the interface. For example, now if I want to remove duplicates, if I want to remove duplicate now, I can just go right click on the state, then remove duplicate directly from here. Not only that, you can actually do a lot of things like changing type, you can transform lowercase, uppercase, you can replace value from here, you can replace your error from here, split to column, group by from here directly. That is how beautiful Power Query is, instead of looking for it in your interface. However, you must be able to navigate through your interface sometimes. For example, when you want to remove your duplicate here, if you go to home, instead of going that like that, you can go to remove columns. If you want to remove column, this one should show. Okay, remove rows, then we go to remove duplicates. Okay, now let's do our data cleaning by removing duplicate first. Let's try and remove duplicate, but before we remove duplicate, I need to actually check details of this data set. That's why I said you have to understand the data set. You cannot just assume things. No, you can't. So let me check this state first using this drop down. Let's check if we have repeated states. You see, we have repeated states. So if I remove the duplicates, meaning that all those Benue, all those Bono that comes twice, all those Ekiti that's appearing twice, it will remove them and it will actually affect my data set. So I think the first thing we actually need to do is to change these ones into the same case so that they can actually have the same value. Let me view them in the column profile. They might not actually have, no, not this. I want to click on the state. Okay, we might not actually have repetition in the column profile. Did you see? So now let's remove this. Let's change everything to the same case so that everything can actually come out well. Now let's do capitalize each word. Capitalize word meaning it starts with title case for all. So we have, did you see now we have 38 distinct and 0 unique. Okay, now after changing this into capital letter because of the repetition of what we have. So I'm looking at it if we need to actually change duplicate, because if you are removing duplicate, we have states like that have this different transport type and different routes and then the same state. So we can't basically remove duplicate here unless we are going to make error. So in all these things, we have 38 distinct, we should have 36, meaning that there's something that is wrong here. Let me uncheck the null. We don't want the null. Let me remove the one that is empty so that we have 37. Now 37. Then let me check. Because data analysis is 80% of data cleaning. Oh, this none, we don't really know. There's no state that is none. So let's remove the none. Just press OK. So we should have 36 states like that. So we have 1636. 36. Distance 36. It should be 36. But we have a 37. Let's go on. We are going to find out where we have extra distinct value. This 37. And we have 0 error, 0 empty. So we can go on. Let's see. Then this data type is text actually. So if you want to change your data type, you know that this is where you change your data type. That is where you change your data type. So let's go test text. That one is changed like that. Okay, after changing the data type to 30 to text, we have it as 36 now. Okay, now so let's go on. Now we have the transport type. We have two empty. We need to remove the empty. Remove empty. So let's check if we have. Now if you take notes, you see that we have inconsistencies in the kind of data. So I'll be treating it immediately. I will not wait. I will not want us to be going back and front. So we're going to, let's change it to capitalize. Also, it's coming from the first word. That's train first class. Okada. So we have the first letter to be capitalized. So let's check BLT fair. Okay, nice. I think there's none here too. We don't need none. We don't need none. We don't need none. So let's press OK. So I don't think we have any issues with that. So we need to take note of the none. The ones with no and none, we need to actually take it out. So I think this one should be okay. Now the dataset for transport type should be in text. Let's put it in text so that we'll be on the safer side. So for this column, let's go to the next thing. We have, for me, if I were you, what I'll just do is that I can use this view to actually, this column profile if you want to check. Okay, fine. So for me now, I know the basic errors that can be in the data set. So now I can actually right click from here, or let's remove the one that is empty. Then let's see if we have we can change the type to transform each of the data to actually start with capital letter. So now let's see this one. This one is saying, if you notice, I can notice some space there. I can notice some space before the board, so you can actually trim them. Okay, let me trim this one too to be on the safer side. Let me trim them. So we should not assume that this it's actually trimmed. Now the trimming is just removing the space before and after the data set. That's why I said that you need to understand your data set, know what you want to do before you do your analysis. So you want to make mistake, remove empty, so we don't have any empty there. So now let's go. We have 15 unique routes. We have this. I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to remove that arrow showing that design. So let me just copy the arrow. Just copy it, and then I'm going to remove it because it's not going to be there. So what we can do is that we can use it in two ways. We can do it in two ways. We can actually go for each of them, then we replace values. So if you do this one, copy it, value to find this, replace it with this. We can replace it with having a dash like that. But I think that one will actually take a long process. So this is what we're going to do. I will do find and replace for all the columns. For all the not the columns. Let's go to this. Let's find okay. Let's go to transform. Let's see for replace values. Now, so wait, let me copy one of this. If I copy this, let's paste it to find and replace values from here. You see, I've highlighted all the columns. So if I paste this, I want to replace it with dash. I don't want it to be an arrow. Let's see. Did you see that every of the data sets in that column, every of the data sets have been changed from that arrow? It looks like a design. Then into dash, it has been changed like that. So let's go on with that. Okay, distance unique and you see that should balance everything in that data set. So let's make this one text. Let's make the column text. I don't think we should have any issues like that from there. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. Now the none too, we need to check that. Please let's be careful of the none. Apparently I can remove it at once clicking a column, but let's do it one after the other so that we can get the full understanding of how to clean without rushing. So number one, this one, let's remove empty. Then we know that there is one brother called Nan here. Okay, let's see if it's actually appear. Okay, blank. I don't think we have any issue with Nan here. So these ones are normal. Okay. So this one, they are in decimal form. So change to decimal number, although it's in decimal number already, the data type. So now let's go on with check. Let me check. Let me view the column profile. So I'll be sure that I don't have anything. None about good. So because analysis will be smooth when you have your data cleaned properly. So let's go to the fair. The fair is in naira actually. Okay, for this ngn, I would advise people to do it like this. You can actually split it into the next column, then delete that column. So we can do, you can actually split it in such a way that fine, you can do split to column. There you go by delimiter. Then you have a custom. You have it as custom. Then you place that ngn. So anywhere it actually occurs, you have it like that. So you press OK. So when you split it, you see now that we have it already in this column. So this column can be deleted like that. You can actually use the function extract like that, extract here. But it's more time, you can actually have errors like that from extract. So I prefer to do it this way. So I remove this column. This is data transformation. This is how you can solve your problem and then get your desired result. So let's see. Let me check if I have anything else. No. So we have the T fare. It's in, this one is in kilometer. This one is in naira. So let's just rename this. Let's rename this one and put it in brackets in naira. Although when we want to do the dashboard, we can actually place it ourselves. So let's rename this one too. Let's rename this one. Then we have our datasets. Then we can actually change the format. Let's change this one to the whole number so that Power BI can actually understand what we actually want to do. Now the rounding off, we can actually transform it in such a way that we have it rounding up, absolute value, put it in power, factorial, absolute value, text transformation. We have doing the uppercase and all like that. Now the reason why I showed us this because we can actually, that can be done to round up, round down, and all like that. So calculate absolute value. No, we don't need that. We don't need that. So now that is that for that. So we now have this. Let me check if our distance is in decimal point. Okay, decimal point, and this should be, let me put space here so that we can have that. So let me check if it's, we don't really have any, we should not have any errors. We should not have any empty data set like that. So we are done with the data cleaning for this data set. Don't forget Power BI has a limitation also. When you have more than 1000 rows, it's just profiling based on the 1000 rows. So you can actually view that one as well. So now we are done with this section using Power Query. So what we do is we go to home, then we do close and apply. Now it's going to load for a while. Did you see? It's going to load for a while, then load it into Power BI. This means that your data set that you actually bring into into this Power BI is basically no data set that is entering into it, because we needed to transform it before we start building. So you need to transform the data before you build. So he's saying one of the loaded contains error. Let's check view error. Where's the error? Let's check if we have errors. Oh, we did. Don't think we delete this one. Or what happened to it? What number? What happened to that? Okay. Now what you do? Let's go to transform. Okay. We're on transform sheet already. Let me check again. Why do we have error here? This one do not have error. Let's go back to close and apply. Good. The error has been changed like that. Let's go back to home. Let's see view modeling. So if you want to do anything else, you actually come up with your interface. Now if you notice that when I did close and apply, if you notice, it's showing build visuals with your data, meaning Power BI actually understands that a new data is in the workspace. So you can now build your chart with what you have. So if you want to actually edit anything from your data set, you can actually use transform data, a quick transform data to pop out the formal Power Query and then show you the details of what you have before. Can you see that? So we don't have issues with the error sheet. So far we have the original sheet here, which is complete. So we can close and apply. Nice. So we can now start building. So in the next section we'll be building our charts. Then we now create our wireframe. Then we do our proper visualization.